Because if you just go, oh, that shit he talks about, I don't need to do that. As long as there's money in the bank, we're fine. We're winning jobs, life's good. Okay, well, work in progress accounting over under billings will identify, based on the data input, whether or not your liability exceeds the cash at bank. And so if you've got 400 grand in the bank, you've got to be able to tell me at the end of the month exactly what that 400 grand represents. How much of that is owed to suppliers and subcontractors, and how much is gross profit? Because that liability or the equity in your business, you need to know. Because you might nick off and buy a boat, and then you'll come back and you can't pay your bills, or you can't pay your tax. How old are you going to be before you start to experience life like you want it? I want to tell you right now, whether you like it or not, there is a better way to do business. Hi everyone, welcome to the Business for Builders podcast. My name's Max, I'm your host. I'm the CEO here at Smith & Sons Canada. I'm also the founder at elitebusinessadvisory.com. Thanks for dropping by once again. If you're a long-time listener, thank you for lending me your ear in perpetuity and sticking around. And if you're a first-time listener just checking us out and you've just found us, I really hope today is a good one. Look, here we go. As usual, we want to provide steak and potatoes. Like and subscribe, hit the bell. All of this sort of stuff drops once a week. And be sure to get across to Business for Builders VIP on Facebook. Answer the 3 questions, please. Honestly, and if you're a good sort, I'll let you in. We want to make that is a community of builders and general contractors, and in some cases, subs and even apprentices, which is great. And it's it's a room or a group where we can have some collaboration and some camaraderie as well. So I monitor that. It's not really another platform that I want to go yapping on. I really want to encourage. I guess I curate it to some extent and help out where I can. And I'm a bit of a counterpuncher. So please, guys, if you put a question out, I think it's got to be approved by yours truly. I'll do that. And then, if there's nothing coming back to your question, I will be absolutely happy to jump in and answer a question. So utilize that platform as a bit of a go-to to start with and just see what happens. And hopefully we can add some value over there as well. Okay, again, today we want to just really double down on business, particularly contracting business. And so it's what I do in my day job as a franchisor here in Canada. But I also run a business coaching business for contractors mostly. And so, what we talk about is a lot of external things, a lot of peripheral things to do with the business and efficiencies and things like that, pricing models. What I want to chat to you today about real quick is personal development and company leadership. And so, I think that it's as I talk to different business owners, whether they're inside my Smith & Sons group or they're in my elite business group, what is a common denominator is that a lot of the time the limiting factor is the individual that is leading or guiding the program. And, I've got some pretty successful guys in and around me that I go, wow, like well done, like good business growth. And true to form, what got them there is unfortunately not what it's going to take them to 3x their business, let's say. So, in the event that they get to a $3 million mark and they want to go to 5 or 7 or 10, what I am very cautious is to not just talk about more checklists and employing more people and working on SOPs, which are all important. But what I do is I have a quiet moment and I say, you got to understand that you, the person today, me, the person today, is not the person that's going to carry this business to 3x your revenue. Does that make sense? And it's at that moment there is kind of this, quiet consideration around, okay, Max, but I don't know what you're banging on about. And it's pretty, and I think because it's too often we can get more leads for a guy, he gets more team, he goes and sets up an office, he starts doing jobs, and all of a sudden, because the leader can't endure the arduous nature of controlling a building company and all of its moving parts, the individual, the human, the organic piece, the linchpin of that whole business starts to fail. And when it does, everything around it follows suit. And so, just off screen, just to my left here, this is our boardroom. This is where I do all the training for all our franchised operators. now where we do the podcast. But just over here, there's probably 20 books that I've read, and I've got a bunch in boxes out the back, and some behind my desk in my office. And so, the first point here, let's think about business growth that really is sustainable off the back of you, the business leader's ability to develop and grow continuously. Because, higher the levels, bigger the devils. The higher you go, the thinner the air gets. That means you've got to become more accustomed to that environment. And so I'm telling you that the bigger the revenue, okay, the bigger your challenges will be, because you're going to have more people. You're probably going to have more clients. You're going to have more moving parts. The chances of having budget blowouts are more, is significant. So I think there's a lot more fires to deal with that I know can be dealt with. But, I was only talking to a client this morning about everyone knows what IQ is. They hear that. They know it's got something to do with their smarts, right? I've got a high IQ. I don't. And that's intelligence quotient. What we need to understand as humans is we might be intelligent, but what brings that intelligence down, what brings it to his knees, is our ability to have a high EQ, which is emotional quotient. Okay, so we've got to be able to steady our heads in the event of a catastrophe, or in the event of a challenge, or of the event of a human maybe saying something or doing something that goes against your culture in your company. And so we've got to have that ability to stabilize, and what I call regulate. For me personally, being such a hothead, having a bit of a short fuse, and, really wanting to take it. Like, I don't flight, I fight. I'm hanging around because you've just done X, Y, Z, and I ain't going anywhere, and we're going to get this shit sorted out today. That is a fight mechanism, and that's where I've talked about in the past, where my emotion goes up, my ability to make good decisions goes down. So right at that moment, I had a very low EQ, and that's what I'm talking about. So, there's some cases where I've had to read emails, and I'm like, right, I'm going to return serve and get after that guy. Where there's a part of me that then hits that regulate button. Hey, wait, you need to just sleep on that. You don't have to respond to that email today. So back up and just about face, go, just try and sometimes if that email is that devastating late in the afternoon, you may not be, it might render you ineffective. But I'm saying, I'm very curious. I'm very concerned about the organic well-being of my franchised operators and my EBA clients, that I'm saying to them, go home, just leave the office. If you're going to be rendered useless or ineffective because of that blind side, then all of our focus has to be on that little micro inconvenience right now. And whatever you were going to do in the next 2 hours is of no consequence, because I need you to go home and just cool your jets. Don't take it personally. Remember, it's just business, okay? But I do take it way too personally. So, I'm going to share with you 5 or 6 things that I think can help you develop over a period of, months and years into that business leader that will support or be able to lead that business, which has got a higher revenue target than you currently hit today. Okay. So I want you to just be mindful. My job as a coach is to bring awareness, bring education, and then be there for accountability. So if those are the 3 things that you think you need in your business, maybe you need to drop over to elitebusinessadvisory.com. Try and find a spot in my calendar. It's a little tight. If you can't get something, please don't give up. Email me, max@elitebusinessadvisory.com, and I will make some space for you for real. Okay, first thing, continuous learning and skill development. I think as leaders in the business, if you are a great technician, i.e. a great carpenter, a great bricklayer, a great whatever trade, doesn't guarantee you success as a business owner operator, because I'm telling you the skill set that's required to not only maintain, but to develop and grow and maintain profitability in your company is a completely different set of skills. So we need to stay updated with the latest construction techniques, materials and technologies, and attending workshops, seminars, and attaining relevant certifications. If that helps you become a better leader, then you should do that. I know when I was running a building company in Australia, one thing I did was to go out and get the credential for Class B asbestos removal. Not that I wanted to jump in there and put a suit on and a gas mask and get the sprinklers happening and go and pull out asbestos-containing materials, but because I wanted to understand what the processes were, because I needed to quote better, because a lot of the time the quotes I were getting in the early days were actually way more than I thought they were going to be. So I'm like, hang on, I need to understand that business model as it relates to that specific trade. And so for me, educating myself around that little department within my business, which we were doing renovations, and so it was very often that we would come across asbestos. And so it was important to me to understand what I had to quote on, what was incorporated and what was included. And so, that continuous learning. And I think, guys and gals, what makes successful business leaders is always the desire to ask questions and to continually develop in your education. And I'm not an educated man. I did not graduate. Grade 11, my man pulled me out of private education and said, son, you're going to go off to trade school, pal, and figure out what you're going to do, because clearly you're not an academic. Best thing he probably could have ever done for me. But what I always had, despite my lack of academia or academic prowess, I always love to ask questions. I love to just get to the knowledge, find out from other people's experiences on how they put things together. So, I think continuous learning, and that's why, for me, when Audible come on the scene, I wasn't able to read books, and yet I've read 50 plus books, which is not much really compared to some of these, massively successful business owners. But when Audible came out, it made it very convenient. It's pretty hard to read a book while you're driving. Just I've tried that. I've seen some people at lights reading a book, which I think today would be illegal. You would probably get dinged 3 or 4 points and $500 fine. So with Audible, it definitely made the information more accessible. I could listen to it if I enjoyed it. I'd then go and buy the hard copy. And so that's where it's like I don't have an option around, do I want to learn today or do I not? I'm just like, what do I need to learn today? So please keep that in mind. Point number 2, effective communication. Develop clear and concise communication skills to interact with your clients, your subs, and your team members, as well as your suppliers. And then, I need you to think about fostering an environment where feedback is encouraged and acted upon. We urge good team huddles, to urge the need for good team huddles. We need to have good meeting rhythm. It's got to be very organized. If you're having toolbox talks with your guys, on Monday morning, my toolbox talk would go something like this. By the end of the week, we've got to have these 3 things done. I need the frame and trusses wrapped up, and I've got to book an inspection for the Monday. So by Friday afternoon, you've got to let me know, or at least Thursday afternoon, you've got to tell me that we're on song, we're on point for that. And then, there might be something else that I need the boys to have done, by that. So every day there's going to be tasks that are happening. So we're going, okay, here's our 3 goals for the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Here's what I need done today on Monday. Then if we get that completed, right, today on Tuesday, looking forward to hitting those 3 goals at the end of the week. Tuesday, we've got to have this done. Wednesday, Thursday, etc. And so we need to be very proactive in our communication. We need to be very concise and really understanding at a high level what it is that we are trying to extract from our team members. Further to that, we need to appreciate that we get some feedback from our guys, which we may not enjoy, but we really have to really encourage that feedback, because the thing about being a good leader is that we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Are we listening? Now, you don't have to go and action everything. The tail doesn't wag the dog. That remains the same. But if I'm getting 2 or 3 guys saying the same thing, I really should stand up and take notice. I'm like, okay, you got my attention. What's going on? Because remember, as a business coach, even what I'm going to talk to you a lot about is, give me the top 3 things which you think are gaps in your business. What are the 3 things that make life difficult for you? What are the 3 things that you don't like to do? And then, because they're gaps, they're obviously not getting done. You're procrastinating, you're ignoring. It's taking a toll on the business. Therefore, it's taking a toll on your profitability. Therefore, it's taking a toll on you, the human who's running the show. Okay, remember, we're about protecting the human. That is you. You're the business owner. You're the one with all the weight on your shoulders. You have the noose around your neck and the box under your feet. And we really want to put you back we want to move you from a position of where you feel there's chaos into a position where there is control. Chaos is a byproduct of disorder. Control is a natural byproduct of order. So folks, what we're going for here is order. Right. Point number 3, project management expertise. So tools and methodologies is really what we've got to have to ensure that projects are completed on time and within budget. And, we've got to prioritize organizational skill. And we've got to think about enlarging your capacity. And I think this is where I'm going about, hey, we're a $2 million business. We want to be a $4 million business. Okay, what you need to understand is if you are going to lead that type of business, the type of business owner that you are right now is not going to do that. You're going to have to be twice the individual that you are now to lead twice the business. Okay, and so really what we're talking about in the process of doing the business day to day is what I call enlarging our capacity. So in other words, we are pushing XYZ weight today over the period of 3, 6, 9, 12 months. By the end of the year, we want to be able to lift more weight. And that essentially is your capacity to carry more weight is there. So right now, I've got a $2 million business and I can handle it with my eyes shut. Okay, you know why? Because your capacity is enlarged to a point where you can handle $2 million worth of revenue in that business. But I'm telling you that your capacity is going to need to grow. And sometimes we get to that point and we forget the climb that was made to get to that level. And then when we turn around and go, well, I just want to now do 4 million. And then we start climbing and go, geez, this is a bit hard. This is a bit inconvenient. I don't like having this stress, right? And so we tend to revert back to where our comfort zone is. Well, is that going to make you happy? And if it's not going to make you happy, if you do want to go to that $4 million target, then you've got to embrace the pain. Embrace the change, okay? Success lies outside of our comfort zone and we need to get after it if that is who we are. But if you're happy at 2 million and it aligns with your personal goals, just stay there. You've got a good business. There's nothing wrong with it. As long as you're running at a 10% net profit, life is good. Okay, point number 4, financial acumen. Right, so this is all about knowing your numbers, guys. I mean, we just, you've got good technical acumen. In other words, you understand how to build shit, how to do your job, how to execute in that regard. What we're talking about is understanding and managing project budgets, cost estimation, and financial planning, right? And so in a nutshell, that is know your numbers. Monitor your financial performance and make informed, data-driven decisions to enhance profitability. Now, the way we do that over here, in what I do is we work activity key metrics in conjunction with work in progress accounting. Activity key metrics is about, 20 columns of, things that we are looking at, which I would say majority of them are key performance indicators, but some of them are metrics that come off the back of formulas, such as customer acquisition cost, cost per lead, and return on advertising spend. They are all in relation to data that's been entered in the local area marketing and the digital marketing, and then how many contracts we've signed, thus far in this year. So what that does is our performance during the month will then extrapolate out to an outcome or a result, and that result's either going to be good, moderately okay, or not good. And so that tells us that we've got to change something up. We've either got to spend more, on marketing, or the content has got to change, or the messaging's got to be different. But those are the sorts of things where we rely on the data to help us make a better decision, right? Or at least make a decision of change perhaps and pivot, okay? So, we've got to know things like our fixed expenses. What is that? So we've got to know we've got to know the difference between markup and margin. We've got to know what's an appropriate margin for a certain job. We've got to know how many, if we want to do a revenue target of XYZ, how many leads, how many dollars worth of leads do we need to get this year? Well, then we've got to know what our conversion rate is. If we don't know our conversion rate, then we don't know how many dollars worth of leads we've got to get. Guys and gals, I am telling you, financial acumen is a thing. It's why I said at the beginning, you might have all of the technical acumen and skills to build houses. I get it. But to run the building company is a completely different ballgame. And so you really got to understand how activity key metrics works. And so that really helps us. We log the data as it happens. And then we can start looking at it retrospectively and watching for trends. So if we're looking at our fixed expenses and it costs us 10 grand a month to run our business, we're running a 30% profit margin and our break-even point is about 34,000. If we have not hit our break-even point for 3 months in a row and we've been down on average about 2.5 grand a month, we are now $7,500 in the hole. Bad. Okay, so what is wrong with our business then? Well, we just didn't get any leads last month. Okay, or we didn't get any leads 3 months ago, and that's why we've got nothing to sign contracts on today. So what it does is those key metrics all tie together. Now, work in progress accounting is over under billings, right? When we sign a contract and we get a 5, 10, 20%, whatever you get down payment deposit on signing of the contract, you are now in a state of overbilling. You've done no work, you bought no materials. Now you might be about to, but what I'm saying is we run, in renovations particularly, it's a very cash flow positive business. There should be no reason why you're running out of money unless you're spending it on something that you shouldn't be, or your fixed expenses are way beyond what you should be spending based on your monthly billables. So, I think having financial acumen, what I start with, before you have the knowledge, you've got to have a hunger or desire to want to learn about the numbers. Because if you just go, oh, that shit he talks about, I don't need to do that. As long as there's money in the bank, we're fine. We're winning jobs, life's good. Okay, well, work in progress accounting over under billings will identify, based on the data input, whether or not your liability exceeds the cash at bank. And so if you've got 400 grand in the bank, you've got to be able to tell me at the end of the month exactly what that 400 grand represents. How much of that is owed to suppliers and subcontractors, and how much is gross profit? Because that liability or the equity in your business, you need to know, because you might nick off and buy a boat and then you'll come back and you can't pay your bills, you can't pay your tax. Now, on the other hand too, if your P&L is up and down and you get a big check at the end of the financial year the day before, and then it ticks over to the beginning of the new financial year, all of a sudden, that P&L is going to show, well, you got a $300,000 check on the 30th of the month, you're going to pay tax on that. And you're like, well, hang on, mate. That's like, let's say 70% of that's got to be paid out to subcontractors and suppliers. Right. So what we've got to try and do using work in progress accounting is to flatten out your P&L and make it more realistic. So you're either not spending money you haven't got, or you're not paying tax on big lump sums that come in where 70% or more could go out to paying for materials and labor. So financial acumen. Right. Point number 5, leadership and team building. Folks, leaders lead. We've got to cultivate strong leadership qualities to inspire and motivate our team. We have to focus on building a cohesive team by recognizing individual strengths and encouraging professional growth. What I'm looking for is not someone that just wants a job. If they're just punching tickets, they're probably not going to last long on my little island. What I'm wanting someone is they have got initiative. They go, Max, I really don't want to own my own company, but I want to play in your sandbox because I love the culture within your business. Now, I want to reward that kind of commitment. And I'm saying, well, again, I go back to what I might have been talking about in the last episode about what can I do for you? How much value can I add? I want to talk to that individual who said, look, I really want to push this business with you. What can I do? Well, I really want to have that team member be encouraged because, yep, there's going to be some tough love because they're not going to be perfect all the time, but they know the overarching concern is that we are successful as a business and a group of individuals within that business, and that becomes a very, what I would call a preferred employer type position, okay? And so, again, if we don't have the awareness around, oh, that's an interesting way of thinking about it, you're welcome. That's what we're trying to be, because we know that it's hard to get good people. Now, just side note, if you're trying to recruit good people, they're not sitting at home on the couch playing Xbox, wanting a job. They're currently employed working for somebody else. What we have to do is get their attention and get them to contact us so that we can possibly chat about how we can make their life better, okay? So that's a little bit of a recruitment heads up, because those people do want to be in a position where they can develop and grow. And so if they look at the business and go, well, there's nothing here for me, then they'll move on. You won't keep them. Okay. I want people to come onto my team because I'm just a few meters ahead, or I'm, a few yards ahead, or whatever the case may be. And they can really grab onto the coattails of the business leader and develop. As the business leader develops, as the business leader develops the business, then so too can the people within the business who want it, who are hungry, who are a really good cultural fit and identify with our core values. They can then also be lifted up and actually grow in the position that they are, currently working in or aspire to work in the business as well. Okay, the sixth thing for you is for some personal development and company leadership, we have to maintain ethical practices and compliance. We must adhere to industry regulations, safety standards, and ethical practices. We've got to promote a culture of integrity and accountability within the company. What you do and how you act when nobody is watching, that is the challenge. That is the litmus test. And so if you're not happy with that assessment, then I think we all need to improve at some level, because there's going to come a time where the light is going to be shone on you, and you will be exposed. I will be exposed for who I am. And normally that comes by way of pressure that's placed on you as a business owner. Remember, we are very concerned about our emotional quotient, our ability to regulate so that our emotions don't go up, and then our ability to make good decisions goes down. And so what we've got to do is focus on things like, well, I have a client might say to me, hey, Max, I want to pay you cash. And I'm like, that's good, but you can pay me the GST as well. I'm trying to build a business that shows a good profit and loss. So if I want a 3X factor to trade out and sell that business down the track because it's highly systemized, got a great reputation, good people working in the business, then I need to account for every single dollar that goes through the business. That's my take on it. You might have a different take on it, and that's fine. Some clients might say, well, can we get away with not doing a building permit? And it's like, no, we cannot. So if you want someone who acts maybe who doesn't wish to comply, or they're trying to short circuit the system, then you'll have to, that's going to be someone else to do that. I'm not going to do that. And so I just think, because it's, people say if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember that. The truth is easy to remember. Lies are hard to recall, because now you've got to tell a lie to cover a lie, et cetera, et cetera. So guys and gals, let's recap. Continuous learning and skill development, number 1. Effective communication, number 2. Project management expertise, number 3. Financial acumen and knowing your numbers, number 4. Leadership and team building is number 5. And number 6 was ethical practice and compliance. If you focus on these areas, you can ensure both personal growth and the success in your building company. More power to you. Get across and check out Business for Builders VIP Facebook. Answer the questions if you're good, sort of let you in. Check out elitebusinessadvisory.com. Book a consultation. Have a quick chat with me about how I might be able to help you in your business. Most of all, go and build a kick-ass business, and I will see you on the next episode. Cheers.